Have you ever felt like it's your job to keep everyone else okay? You're the one people call when they're falling apart. The one who listens. The one who understands. The one who fixes problems that were never yours to solve. You remember everyone's pain. You carry everyone's burdens. You make sure everyone else is smiling, even when you're quietly breaking inside. And maybe you've become so good at taking care of others that no one notices how tired you really are. Not physically, but emotionally, soul-deep tired. Because while you've been saving everyone else, you've been abandoning yourself. But what if I told you that one of the greatest causes of your suffering is not that you love too much, it's that you've been carrying responsibilities the Buddha never asked you to carry? What if compassion does not mean sacrificing yourself? What if love was never meant to cost you your peace? Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you may finally put down a burden you've been carrying for years. And remember one life-changing truth: other people's happiness was never your responsibility. And losing yourself was never the price you were meant to pay for love. You cannot carry the weight of another person's inner world. Imagine trying to hold the ocean in your hands. No matter how tightly you grip, the water slips through your fingers. You may cup your palms carefully. You may try again and again. You may believe that if you just hold on tighter, you can keep the water from escaping. But the ocean was never meant to be carried by human hands. Another person's inner world is much like that ocean. You can stand beside them. You can offer love. You can listen with an open heart. You can hold their hand while they cry. You can encourage them when they lose hope. You can remind them of their strength when they forget who they are. But you cannot control what happens inside their mind. You cannot decide what they think. You cannot choose what they feel. You cannot walk into their heart and rearrange their fears. Many people spend years trying to do exactly that. A daughter spends her entire life trying to make her parents proud, believing that if they are unhappy, she has somehow failed them. A husband carries the silent belief that his wife's sadness must be his responsibility to fix. He spends every day searching for the right words, the right actions, the right solution, hoping he can rescue her from emotions he does not understand. A wife lies awake at night, worrying about her husband's stress, convinced that if she loves him enough, she can take away every burden he carries. A friend becomes everyone's therapist. Everyone runs to them for comfort. Everyone unloads their pain onto their shoulders. They are always available, always understanding, always strong. Yet behind closed doors, they sit alone in silence, exhausted and overwhelmed, wondering why nobody notices that they, too, are struggling. Little by little, they begin carrying emotions that were never theirs. Someone is disappointed. They blame themselves. Someone is anxious. They feel responsible. Someone is angry. They immediately wonder what they did wrong. Someone is unhappy, and they make it their personal mission to fix it. Over time, they become experts at reading other people's moods. They notice the smallest change in someone's voice. They pay attention to every facial expression. They walk on eggshells to avoid upsetting anyone. They constantly ask themselves, what can I do to make them okay? What should I have said differently? How can I make this better? But there is a painful truth hidden beneath all these questions. No matter how deeply you love someone, you cannot heal a wound they refuse to acknowledge. You cannot force peace into a mind that is attached to suffering. You cannot rescue someone from lessons they are not ready to learn. The Buddha taught that every human being walks their own path. Each person experiences the consequences of their own thoughts, habits, attachments, and understanding. Every person carries their own fears, their own desires, their own unresolved pain, their own choices, their own awakening. This can feel heartbreaking to accept, because many of us were taught that love means fixing, love means sacrificing, love means saving. If someone you care about is hurting, you immediately feel that you should do something, anything. Because watching someone suffer is painful, especially when you love them. But wisdom asks us an important question. Is it truly love to take responsibility for another person's inner world? Or is it attachment disguised as love? Think about the people you have tried hardest to save. Did your worrying erase their sadness? Did your sleepless nights remove their fears? Did sacrificing your own peace suddenly transform their lives? Perhaps sometimes it helped. Perhaps your kindness gave them comfort. But did it completely heal them? Probably not, because healing is an inside job. No one can meditate for another person. No one can understand life on behalf of another person. No one can choose awareness for another person. Each human being must eventually face themselves. Each human being must learn how to sit with their own mind. This does not mean becoming cold or indifferent. Buddhist wisdom never asks us to stop caring. It asks us to care wisely. It asks us to love without attachment, to support without controlling, to help without losing ourselves, to stand beside others without trying to carry them. Sometimes love is offering advice. Sometimes love is listening quietly without trying to solve everything. Sometimes love is simply saying, "I am here for you," and then accepting that the outcome is not yours to control. There is great freedom in understanding this. Their emotions belong to them. Your emotions belong to you. Their healing belongs to them. Your healing belongs to you. Their journey belongs to them. Your journey belongs to you. You can walk beside someone through the darkest season of their life. You can offer compassion, patience, and understanding, but you cannot carry them up the mountain. They must take their own steps. Perhaps this is why you feel so tired. Perhaps you were never weak. Perhaps you were simply trying to carry oceans that were never meant to rest in your hands. For years, you may have confused responsibility with love. You may have believed that if the people around you were unhappy, you had somehow failed. But another person's suffering is not proof that you did not love enough, and another person's happiness is not proof that you finally did enough. You were never given the responsibility of controlling another person's inner world. You were only asked to meet others with kindness, to love sincerely, to act with wisdom, and to remain faithful to your own peace. The moment you truly understand this, something inside you softens. The guilt begins to loosen. The pressure begins to fade. The impossible burden you've been carrying starts slipping from your shoulders. And for the first time in a very long time, you realize this beautiful truth. You can love people deeply without carrying what was never yours to hold. Compassion without boundaries becomes self-betrayal. Many of us were taught that being a good person means always being available, always saying yes, always understanding, always forgiving, always giving. We were praised for being selfless. People admired us because we never complained. We were the reliable one, the strong one, the understanding one, the person everyone could call at midnight, the one who would cancel their own plans to solve someone else's crisis, the one who would smile and say, "It's okay," even when it wasn't. At first, this feels like love. It feels noble, it feels kind. After all, what could be wrong with caring deeply about other people? But slowly, almost invisibly, something begins to happen. You stop listening to your own needs. You answer messages even when you are emotionally exhausted. You agree to things you do not want to do because you are afraid of disappointing people. You carry conversations that drain you. You become responsible for keeping everyone comfortable. You tell yourself, they need me. They're going through a difficult time. I can handle it. It's not a big deal. But while you are busy taking care of everyone else's heart, no one notices what is happening to yours. You begin to feel tired all the time. Small things start irritating you. You feel guilty for wanting space. You become emotionally overwhelmed. You feel unseen. You secretly wish someone would ask you if you're okay. But when they do, you smile and say, I'm fine. Because you have come so used to being the giver that receiving feels uncomfortable. Many people do not realize this, but resentment often grows in the places where self-betrayal has been repeated for too long. Not because you are selfish, not because you stopped loving people, but because somewhere deep inside, a part of you is whispering, what about me? When is it my turn to rest? Who takes care of me? The Buddha taught the middle way, the path of balance, not excess, not deprivation. Wisdom understands that even beautiful qualities can create suffering when they lose balance. Compassion is beautiful, but compassion without awareness can become self-destruction. Imagine a tree standing in the middle of a village. Every day, people come to take its fruit. The tree gives freely. Travelers rest beneath its shade. Children climb its branches. Birds build nests among its leaves. The tree asks for nothing in return. But imagine if people kept breaking its branches. Imagine if they stripped away its bark. Imagine if they demanded more and more while never allowing it time to recover. Eventually, even the strongest tree would weaken, not because giving is wrong, but because everything in nature requires renewal. Even the earth rests. Even the seasons change. Even rivers slow down before flowing again. Why then do we expect ourselves to give endlessly without rest? Why do we believe that protecting our energy is selfish? Somewhere along the way, many of us learned a dangerous lesson. If people are happy with me, I am worthy. If people need me, I matter. If I sacrifice enough, I will be loved. So we overgive, we overextend, we overexplain, we overcompensate. And every time we ignore our own limits, we move a little further away from ourselves. This is what self-betrayal looks like. It rarely happens all at once. It happens in small moments. The moment you say yes when your heart is screaming no. The moment you ignore your exhaustion because someone else might be disappointed. The moment you apologize for needing space. The moment you abandon your truth to keep the peace. Little by little, you teach yourself that everyone else's needs deserve attention except your own. But Buddhist wisdom gently reminds us of something many people forget. You are also a human being deserving of compassion. You are not separate from the kindness you offer others. Loving kindness was never meant to exclude you. You matter too. Your peace matters too. Your limits matter too. There is a difference between kindness and self-erasure. Kindness says, I care about you. Self-erasure says, I will disappear so you can remain comfortable. Kindness says, I want to help if I can. Self-betrayal says, I must save everyone, no matter what it costs me. Kindness says, I understand your pain. Self-abandonment says, your pain is more important than my well-being. These are not the same thing. One comes from wisdom. The other comes from fear. Fear of rejection, fear of conflict, fear of being called selfish, fear of losing love. But true compassion is not born from fear. True compassion comes from a peaceful heart, a grounded heart, a heart that knows its own value. Think of the Buddha himself. He showed endless compassion. He listened, he taught, he guided. But he never chased people who refused to listen. He never abandoned his own wisdom to gain approval. He understood that helping others does not mean carrying what does not belong to you. He understood that you cannot pour water from an empty cup. There may be people in your life who have become accustomed to receiving unlimited access to your time, energy, and emotional strength. The moment you begin setting boundaries, they may call you distant. They may call you selfish. They may not understand, because they were benefiting from a version of you that no longer exists. But healing often disappoints the people who were comfortable with your self-neglect. And that does not mean your healing is wrong. It means you are finally learning to love yourself with the same tenderness you have always offered others. Perhaps this lesson is not teaching you to stop being compassionate. Perhaps it is teaching you to stop disappearing, to stop proving your worth through exhaustion, to stop measuring love by how much pain you can endure. You do not have to earn the right to rest. You do not have to apologize for your boundaries. You do not have to destroy yourself to prove that you care. The people who truly love you will not require your suffering as evidence of your love. Because real love does not ask you to betray yourself. Real love honors both people. It creates space for giving and receiving, for helping and resting, for compassion and truth. And maybe, for the first time in your life, compassion is inviting you to turn inward, to place your hand gently over your own heart, to notice your exhaustion without judgment, to listen to the needs you have ignored for far too long, and to whisper these words to yourself. I can be kind without abandoning myself. I can love others without losing who I am. I can care deeply and still protect my peace. Because the moment compassion includes you too, it stops being self-sacrifice and finally becomes wisdom. Someone else's disappointment is not proof that you failed. One of the deepest fears many people carry is not the fear of failure. It is the fear of disappointing others, the fear of seeing sadness in someone's eyes because of a decision you made, the fear of hearing someone say, "I expected more from you," the fear of being misunderstood, the fear of being called selfish, the fear that if someone becomes upset with you, they will stop loving you. For many people, this fear quietly controls their entire life. They say yes when they desperately want to say no. They agree to things that exhaust them. They apologize for having needs. They change their opinions to avoid conflict. They carry responsibilities that were never theirs. Not because they want to, but because disappointing others feels unbearable. Maybe you know what this feels like. Maybe you replay conversations in your mind long after they end. You wonder, did I say the wrong thing? Should I have handled that differently? Did I hurt them? Are they angry with me? You read between the lines of text messages. You analyze changes in tone. You notice when someone seems distant, and suddenly your mind becomes a courtroom. You place yourself on trial. You become both the accused and the judge, and without hearing the full story, you declare yourself guilty. It is exhausting, because you begin measuring your worth by the emotional reactions of other people. If they are happy, you feel safe. If they are disappointed, you feel ashamed. If they approve of you, you feel valuable. If they criticize you, you question everything about yourself. But Buddhist wisdom invites us to ask a difficult question. What if another person's disappointment is simply a natural part of life? What if being a good person does not mean being able to satisfy everyone? The truth is this: no matter how loving you are, someone will misunderstand you. No matter how generous you are, someone will think you should have given more. No matter how careful you are, someone will be upset by your choices. No matter how much you sacrifice, someone will still find fault. This is not because you failed. It is because human beings see life through the lens of their own expectations, wounds, fears, and desires. Two people can experience the exact same situation and interpret it completely differently. One person sees your boundary as healthy. Another sees it as rejection. One person respects your honesty. Another calls it selfishness. One person appreciates your effort. Another focuses only on what you did not do. You cannot control how others interpret you. You can only control the intention you bring into your actions. Think about how many times you abandoned yourself simply to avoid disappointing someone. You agreed when you wanted to decline. You stayed when you wanted to leave. You remained silent when you wanted to speak. You carried burdens that were too heavy. You tolerated behavior that hurt you. You sacrificed your peace in exchange for temporary approval. And yet, even after all that, did everyone remain happy? Did everyone appreciate your efforts? Did everyone finally give you the acceptance you longed for? Probably not. Because people who expect perfection will always find something missing. This is one of the painful truths of life. You can give someone your time, and they wish you gave more. You can offer your heart, and they focus on your mistakes. You can spend years proving your love and still be misunderstood. The Buddha taught that attachment creates suffering. And one attachment many people never recognize is the attachment to being liked. The attachment to being seen as good. The attachment to never disappointing anyone. We become attached to an image of ourselves. The helpful one. The perfect daughter. The dependable son. The understanding partner. The friend who never says no. And we exhaust ourselves trying to maintain this identity. But human beings were never meant to live inside cages built from other people's expectations. Sometimes healing requires disappointing people. Sometimes growth requires saying, I can't do that. I need rest. I disagree. I choose differently. I cannot carry this anymore. And yes, people may not understand. They may become upset. They may accuse you of changing. But perhaps you have changed. Perhaps you are no longer willing to abandon yourself just to make others comfortable. And that is not something to be ashamed of. There is an old story about a father and son traveling with their donkey. As they walked through different villages, people constantly criticized them. When both rode the donkey, people called them cruel. When neither rode it, people called them foolish. When only the father rode it, people judged him for being selfish. When only the son rode it, people judged the son for being disrespectful. No matter what they did, someone disapproved. Eventually, they realized something profound. Trying to satisfy everyone meant losing themselves completely. How often do we do the same thing? How often do we shape-shift to fit everyone's expectations? How often do we lose our authenticity because we are chasing universal approval? The truth is, approval from everyone is impossible. It always has been. The Buddha himself was criticized, despite his wisdom, despite his compassion, despite dedicating his life to reducing suffering. There were still people who misunderstood him. If even awakened beings could not avoid criticism, why do we expect ourselves to? This realization is not meant to make you cynical. It is meant to set you free. Freedom begins when you stop asking, will everyone approve of me? And start asking, was I honest? Was I compassionate? Did I act with integrity? Did I honor both myself and others? If the answer is yes, then allow yourself to breathe, because someone else's disappointment is not proof of your failure. Sometimes it is simply evidence that you respected your limits. Sometimes it means you chose truth over performance. Sometimes it means you stopped carrying responsibilities that never belonged to you. There is a difference between hurting people and disappointing people. Hurting someone through cruelty requires reflection and accountability. But disappointing someone because you finally chose yourself, because you set a boundary, because you refuse to betray your own needs, is not wrongdoing, it is self-respect. You do not have to earn love through endless sacrifice. You do not have to prove your goodness by exhausting yourself. You do not have to explain every decision to those who refuse to understand. You are allowed to choose peace. You are allowed to choose honesty. You are allowed to disappoint others if the alternative is abandoning yourself. Perhaps this lesson is the permission your heart has been waiting for. The permission to stop carrying guilt that was never yours. The permission to release impossible expectations. The permission to understand that being human means sometimes being misunderstood. And the permission to remember this beautiful truth. Someone else's disappointment does not automatically mean you failed. It may simply mean that, for the first time in a very long time, you chose not to fail yourself. You were never meant to save people who refuse to save themselves. There is a silent burden many kind-hearted people carry. It sounds loving. It sounds noble. It even sounds compassionate. But beneath it hides one of the deepest causes of emotional exhaustion. It is the belief that says, if I love them enough, they will change. If I keep trying, they will finally understand. If I sacrifice more, they will heal. If I don't give up on them, I can save them. Perhaps you know this feeling. Perhaps there is someone in your life you have spent years trying to rescue. A partner who keeps repeating the same destructive patterns. A family member who refuses to take responsibility for their actions. A friend who constantly creates chaos and expects you to clean up the emotional mess. Someone you love deeply who keeps hurting themselves, hurting others, or refusing help. And every time they fall, you rush to catch them. Every time they break down, you put your own life on hold. Every time they suffer, you convince yourself that it is now your responsibility to fix what is broken. At first, it feels like love. You tell yourself, I can't abandon them. They need me. If I walk away, who will help them? What if they change tomorrow? What if one more conversation finally gets through to them? So you stay. You explain, you forgive, you rescue, you sacrifice. Again and again and again. Until one day, you look in the mirror and realize that while trying to save another person's life, you have stopped living your own. The painful truth is this: love cannot force transformation. You cannot heal someone who refuses to acknowledge their wounds. You cannot awaken someone who insists on remaining asleep. You cannot build a peaceful life for someone who continues choosing chaos. No amount of worrying can replace another person's willingness to grow. No amount of sacrifice can create self-awareness inside someone who refuses to look within. No amount of love can do another person's inner work for them. The Buddha understood this deeply. He spent his life teaching people how to free themselves from suffering. He offered wisdom, compassion, guidance. He pointed toward the path, but he never dragged anyone down it. He never forced awakening. He never chased those who turned away, because true wisdom understands something many of us struggle to accept. Every human being has the freedom to choose, even when they choose poorly. even when they repeat painful mistakes, even when watching them suffer breaks your heart. Imagine standing at the edge of a river. You can see someone drowning. You throw them a rope. You call out to them. You reach toward them with genuine concern. But what if they refuse to grab the rope? What if they push it away? What if they insist that nothing is wrong? How long do you stand there blaming yourself for their decision? How many years do you spend believing that if you had simply tried harder, things would have been different? Many people lose themselves trying to answer these impossible questions. They become addicted to potential. They stop seeing who the person actually is and begin falling in love with who they could become. They say, "I know they have a good heart. They've had a difficult life. They just need more time. They'll change if I keep loving them." Sometimes these things are true. People can change. People do heal. People can awaken. But only when they choose it for themselves. Growth cannot be borrowed. Awareness cannot be forced. Healing cannot be outsourced. Think about a seed planted in the earth. You can provide sunlight. You can water the soil. You can protect the space around it. But you cannot force the seed to bloom before it is ready. You cannot pull the flower open with your hands. If you try, you destroy what you are trying to save. Human beings are no different. Each person blooms in their own time, and some refuse to bloom at all. This truth can be heartbreaking, especially when the person you are trying to save is someone you deeply love. A parent, a child, a partner, a sibling, a lifelong friend, because love naturally wants to protect. It wants to remove pain. It wants to fix what hurts. But sometimes our desire to rescue others becomes rooted in fear, fear of losing them, fear of feeling helpless, fear of guilt, fear that if we stop trying, we are bad people, so we carry responsibilities that were never ours. We become their therapist, their caretaker, their emotional support, their problem solver, their rescue plan, their reason to keep going. And slowly, without noticing, we stop being a human being and become a lifeboat, always floating, always available, always saving, until eventually we begin sinking ourselves. Buddhist wisdom gently asks us, who taught you that love requires self-destruction? Who taught you that carrying another person's life is proof of your goodness? Who taught you that saying, "I can't do this anymore," makes you selfish? Perhaps the most compassionate thing you can do is step back and trust life to teach the lessons you cannot. Because pain can be a teacher. Consequences can be teachers. Loss can be a teacher. Sometimes people only awaken when they finally meet the results of their own choices. And as difficult as it is, protecting them from every consequence can delay the very growth they need. This does not mean becoming cold. It does not mean withdrawing your love. It does not mean abandoning people in their darkest moments. It means understanding the difference between support and rescue. Support says, "I believe in your ability to face this." Rescue says, "I don't trust that you can survive without me." Support says, "I will walk beside you." Rescue says, "I will carry you while ignoring my own limits." Support empowers. Rescue creates dependence. Support respects another person's strength. Rescue often forgets they have strength at all. The truth is, the people you love are stronger than you think, and you are more exhausted than you allow yourself to admit. Perhaps you have spent years trying to save everyone because no one ever taught you that it was okay to let go. Okay to rest. Okay to step back. Okay to say, "I love you, but I cannot do this work for you. I care about you, but this decision is yours. I want the best for you, but I cannot sacrifice my entire life trying to rescue you." These words are not cruel. They are wise. Because love without wisdom becomes suffering. But love guided by wisdom creates freedom. Maybe this lesson is not asking you to stop loving people. Maybe it is asking you to stop carrying what only they can carry. To stop fighting battles that do not belong to you. To stop confusing exhaustion with devotion. To stop believing that your worth depends on how many people you save. You were never meant to rescue every person who enters your life. You were never meant to abandon yourself in the name of love. You were never meant to become responsible for another person's awakening. You were simply meant to offer what you genuinely can. Compassion, presence, honesty, kindness. And then, with a peaceful heart, allow others the dignity of choosing their own path. Because sometimes the greatest act of love is not rescuing someone from their journey. It is trusting that their soul, like yours, was created with the strength to walk through it. And perhaps, the moment you finally release the impossible responsibility of saving everyone, you discover that the person who needed saving all along was you. People-pleasing is the fear of losing love disguised as kindness. Most people think people-pleasing begins with kindness. They look at someone who is always giving, always helping, always putting others first. And they say, "What a caring person, what a generous heart. They are so selfless." And often that person truly is kind. They genuinely care. They do not want to hurt anyone. They want the people they love to feel safe, supported, and happy. But beneath that kindness, there is sometimes a deeper story. A quieter story, a story many people never speak about. Because people-pleasing is not always born from love. Very often it is born from fear, the fear of being rejected, the fear of being disliked, the fear of conflict, the fear of disappointing people, the fear of being abandoned, the fear that if you stop giving people what they want, they will stop loving you. Perhaps this fear began long ago. Maybe as a child, you learned that peace in the home depended on keeping everyone happy. You noticed that when adults were upset, the atmosphere changed. The house became tense, the love felt uncertain. So you adapted. You became the easy child, the helpful child, the child who didn't ask for much, the child who stayed quiet, the child who learned how to read other people's emotions before they even spoke. You learned how to notice every sigh, every change in tone, every expression on someone's face. You became an expert at preventing disappointment, because somewhere deep inside, your young heart made a decision. If everyone is happy with me, I will be safe. If people need me, they won't leave. If I become who they want me to be, I will be loved. And what protected you then may be hurting you now, because you carried that survival strategy into adulthood. You became the friend who never says no, the employee who takes on extra work, the partner who ignores their own needs, the family member everyone depends on, the person who always understands, always forgives, always gives one more chance, always puts themselves last. People praise you for your kindness, but they do not see the anxiety beneath it. They do not see how much you overthink, how you replay conversations in your head, how you worry for hours after setting even the smallest boundary, how saying no can fill you with guilt, how disappointing someone feels unbearable. You smile and say, "It's fine. I don't mind. It's no problem," even when your heart is tired, even when your body is begging for rest, even when your soul is quietly whispering, "Please choose me for once." The painful thing about people-pleasing is that it slowly disconnects you from yourself. You become so focused on who other people need you to be that you stop asking who you truly are. You stop asking, "What do I want? What do I need? What do I enjoy? What feels right to me? What brings me peace? You become fluent in everyone else's language while forgetting your own. You know exactly what others expect from you, but you no longer know what your own heart is trying to say. The Buddha taught that attachment is one of the roots of suffering. And one attachment many people never recognize is the attachment to approval, the attachment to being seen as good, the attachment to being needed, the attachment to being liked by everyone. Because approval feels comforting. It gives temporary relief. For a moment, it quiets the fear inside. If someone praises you, you feel worthy. If someone appreciates you, you feel secure. If someone needs you, you feel important. But this peace never lasts. Because the moment someone is upset with you, the fear returns. The moment someone criticizes you, your sense of worth begins to shake. The moment someone withdraws their approval, you question yourself again. And so, you work harder, you give more, you sacrifice more, you abandon yourself more, hoping that this time it will finally be enough. But there is no finish line, because no amount of people-pleasing can heal a wound that says, "I am only lovable when I earn it." The truth is this: love that must be purchased through self-sacrifice is not love. Acceptance that depends on abandoning yourself is not acceptance. Relationships that require you to disappear are not healthy relationships. Real love allows you to be human. Real love allows you to have needs. Real love allows you to say no. Real love does not demand perfection. Think about the people who truly love you. Would they want you to be exhausted all the time? Would they want you to silence your truth? Would they want you to live with constant anxiety just to keep them comfortable? The people who genuinely care for you do not need your suffering as proof of your love. They do not need you to shrink. They do not need you to betray yourself. Buddhist wisdom teaches compassion, but it also teaches truthfulness. And one of the most truthful things you can say is, "I cannot do this. I need rest. I disagree. I need space. I want something different." These simple words can feel terrifying to a people-pleaser because they fear rejection. They fear losing connection. But every time you speak your truth with kindness, you send a powerful message to yourself. You teach your heart that love does not have to be earned through exhaustion. You teach your nervous system that conflict is not always danger. You teach yourself that disappointing others does not mean you are unworthy. You teach yourself that your needs matter too. Healing from people-pleasing does not mean becoming cold. It does not mean you stop being generous. It does not mean you stop caring. It simply means your kindness is no longer rooted in fear. You give because you choose to, not because you are afraid. You help because it aligns with your values, not because guilt controls you. You love from fullness, not from emptiness. You offer compassion without abandoning yourself. Perhaps, for the first time in your life, you are being invited to ask a different question. Instead of asking, "What do I need to do so people won't leave me?" Ask, "What kind of life do I build when I stop leaving myself?" Because maybe the greatest tragedy was never that people disappointed you. Maybe it was how often you disappointed your own heart to keep under others close. Maybe the person who has been waiting the longest for your love is you, the version of you who stayed silent, the version of you who carried too much, the version of you who believed they had to earn the right to exist. The version of you who kept giving pieces of themselves away, hoping someone would finally choose them. Today, choose that person. Choose yourself with the same tenderness you offer everyone else. Listen to your own needs without guilt. Honor your limits without shame. Speak your truth without apology. because you were never born to spend your entire life performing for love. You were never meant to shape-shift into whatever makes others comfortable. You were never meant to trade your authenticity for approval. You were born worthy. Worthy before you pleased anyone. Worthy before you sacrificed yourself. Worthy before you became useful. And the moment you stop chasing love through people-pleasing, you begin to discover something far more peaceful. The love, acceptance, and safety you have been searching for in everyone else have been waiting quietly within you all along. The peace you give to others belongs to you too. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine someone you deeply love. Picture their face. Imagine the tiredness in their eyes. Imagine the heaviness they carry in their heart. You notice that they spend their days taking care of everyone around them. They listen to everyone's problems. They comfort people through difficult moments. They sacrifice their own needs so others can feel supported. They rarely complain. They keep going, even when they are exhausted. They smile, even when they are hurting. Now imagine sitting across from that person. Would you tell them they should continue ignoring their own pain? Would you tell them they do not deserve rest? Would you tell them their happiness can wait until everyone else is satisfied? Would you tell them they should keep pouring from an empty cup? Of course not. You would probably say, "You've done enough. You deserve to rest. You matter too. You cannot take care of everyone while forgetting yourself." You would speak to them with tenderness, with understanding, with compassion. So why is it so difficult to offer those same words to yourself? Why do you believe that everyone else's peace matters, except yours? Why do you treat your own exhaustion as weakness? Why do you feel guilty for resting? Why do you apologize for having needs? Somewhere along the way, many of us learned a dangerous lesson. We learned that our value comes from what we give, from how much we sacrifice, from how useful we are to other people. We learned to feel proud of our exhaustion. We wore busyness like a badge of honor. We convinced ourselves that if we stopped taking care of everyone else, everything would fall apart. So we ignored the quiet voice inside us, the voice that said, "I'm tired. I need a break. I need help too. I don't know how much longer I can keep doing this." Instead of listening, we pushed harder. We kept giving. We kept showing up. We kept carrying burdens that grew heavier with each passing year. And eventually, we forgot what peace even felt like. Many people do not realize that abandoning yourself rarely happens in one dramatic moment. It happens slowly. You skip meals because everyone else comes first. You cancel plans that bring you joy because someone needs you. You stay awake worrying about problems you cannot solve. You stop doing the things that once made you feel alive. You tell yourself, "I'll rest later. I'll focus on myself later. I'll be happy later." But later keeps moving further away. Weeks become months. Months become years. And one day, you wake up and realize that you have spent your entire life giving peace to others while starving yourself of the very thing you needed most. The Buddha taught loving kindness toward all beings. Many people hear these words and immediately think of other people. Be kind to your family. Be kind to strangers. Be kind to those who suffer. And yes, this is true. But one of the greatest misunderstandings is forgetting that you are also included in the phrase, all beings. You are not separate from compassion. You are not excluded from kindness. You are not the one person on earth who must earn the right to receive what you freely give away. You deserve gentleness too. You deserve understanding too. You deserve patience too. You deserve forgiveness too. You deserve peace too. Think about how often you have judged yourself for being human. You criticize yourself for being tired. You shame yourself for needing space. You call yourself selfish for setting boundaries. You feel guilty for saying no. You demand perfection from yourself while offering grace to everyone else. If your friend made a mistake, you would understand. If your partner was exhausted, you would encourage them to rest. If someone you loved was overwhelmed, you would tell them to slow down. Yet when it comes to your own suffering, you become harsh, demanding, unforgiving, as though your humanity is an inconvenience. But peace cannot grow in a heart that is constantly at war with itself. How can you offer kindness to the world while speaking cruelty into your own soul? How can you teach others to value themselves if you believe your own needs are unimportant? The truth is this: the peace you give to others belongs to you too. The patience you offer others belongs to you too. The compassion you extend to others belongs to you too. The understanding you freely give away belongs to you too. You do not have to reach complete exhaustion before you deserve rest. You do not have to break down before asking for help. You do not have to prove how strong you are by suffering in silence. Rest is not weakness. Boundaries are not selfishness. Joy is not selfishness. Choosing yourself is not selfishness. These are acts of wisdom. There is a beautiful image in Buddhism of a still lake. When the waters are calm, they reflect the moon clearly. But when the waters are constantly disturbed, everything becomes distorted. Many people spend their lives trying to bring peace into the lives of others while neglecting the state of their own inner lake. Their minds become restless. Their hearts become overwhelmed. Their spirits become exhausted. Then they wonder why they have nothing left to give. The answer is simple. You cannot offer peace from a place of chaos. You cannot offer calm while drowning in stress. You cannot continuously nourish others while refusing nourishment yourself. A flower cannot bloom without sunlight. A tree cannot survive without water. Even the earth has seasons of rest. Nature itself understands balance. Why do you believe you are different? Why do you expect yourself to keep giving without ever receiving? Perhaps the reason you feel so depleted is not because you are weak. Perhaps it is because you have been fighting against your own nature. You were never designed to be an endless source of emotional labor. You were never meant to carry the entire world on your shoulders. You were never meant to postpone your own life indefinitely. You were meant to live it, to experience joy without guilt, to laugh freely, to sit in silence and simply breathe, to enjoy moments that ask nothing from you, to wake up without immediately worrying about everyone else's needs, to discover who you are outside of what you do for others. Maybe peace is not something you have to earn. Maybe it is something you have forgotten you already deserve. So today, ask yourself, what brings me peace? What have I been neglecting? What part of me has been asking for care? Maybe it is your tired body. Maybe it is your overwhelmed mind. Maybe it is your neglected dreams. Maybe it is the child within you who spent years believing they had to take care of everyone else to be worthy of love. Listen to that part of yourself. Place your hand gently over your heart and remember this: you matter. Not because of what you do, not because of how much you sacrifice, not because of how many people depend on you. You matter because you are alive, because you are human, because your life has value beyond your usefulness. And perhaps this lesson is not teaching you to love others less. Perhaps it is teaching you to finally include yourself in the love you have been giving away your entire life. Because the peace you so generously offer to the world was never meant to stop at everyone else. It was always meant to find its way back home to you. And maybe, just maybe, choosing your own peace is not abandoning others. It is remembering that your heart deserves a place of rest too. La sometimes means letting. People carry their own lessons. One of the hardest things a loving person will ever learn is this: you cannot protect the people you love from every form of pain. You cannot walk ahead of them and remove every obstacle from their path. You cannot make every difficult decision for them. You cannot absorb every consequence they were meant to experience. And perhaps the most painful part of love is realizing that sometimes the people we care about must walk through certain storms alone, not because we do not love them, but because some lessons can only be learned through experience. Think about how natural it is to want to rescue the people you love. When your child is hurting, your first instinct is to take away their pain. When your partner is struggling, you want to fix the problem immediately. When your friend cries, you search desperately for the right words to make everything better. Love wants to protect. Love wants to comfort. Love wants to save. There is nothing wrong with this. It comes from the tenderness of the human heart. But sometimes, without realizing it, our desire to help becomes a fear of witnessing someone else's discomfort. We become uncomfortable watching the people we love struggle. So we rush in, we solve, we advise, we rescue, we carry, we intervene before they have a chance to discover their own strength. Perhaps you have done this before. Perhaps there is someone in your life whose problems have become your problems. You lose sleep thinking about their future. You spend hours trying to convince them to make better choices. You repeat the same advice over and over again. You try to motivate them. You try to save them from heartbreak. You try to prevent them from making mistakes. Because you think, if I truly love them, I should protect them from suffering. But Buddhist wisdom gently reminds us that suffering itself can become a teacher. The Buddha never said life would be free from pain. He taught that pain is part of the human experience. Loss, disappointment, failure, loneliness, uncertainty. These experiences touch every life. The question is not whether we can avoid them. The question is whether we can learn from them. Think about your own life for a moment. Who did suffering make you become? Would you have developed compassion if your heart had never been broken? Would you have discovered your strength if life had never challenged you? Would you have learned wisdom if you had never made mistakes? Would you have awakened to what truly matters if everything had always gone exactly as planned? Some of the most important lessons you have ever learned probably came through moments you never wanted. The betrayal that taught you self-respect. The loss that taught you gratitude. The failure that taught you humility. The loneliness that taught you how to befriend yourself. The uncertainty that taught you trust. Pain changed you, not because pain is beautiful, but because it invited you to grow. And the same is true for the people you love. There are lessons life is trying to teach them that you cannot teach on its behalf. There is wisdom they must discover through their own experiences. There is strength inside them that can only emerge when they face difficulties themselves. Imagine a butterfly struggling to emerge from its cocoon. Seeing it struggle, someone decides to help. They carefully cut open the cocoon so the butterfly can escape more easily. It seems compassionate. It seems kind. But without the struggle of pushing through that narrow opening, the butterfly never develops the strength needed in its wings. It survives the cocoon but loses the ability to fly. Sometimes what appears to be rescue can unintentionally weaken the very people we are trying to protect. This is why Buddhist wisdom speaks of compassion guided by wisdom. Compassion without wisdom says, I cannot bear to watch you struggle. Wisdom says, I believe you are stronger than you know. Compassion without wisdom says, I will carry this burden for you. Wisdom says, I will walk beside you while you carry what belongs to you. Compassion without wisdom says, I must fix everything. Wisdom says, I trust your ability to grow through this. There is dignity in allowing people to face their own lives. There is respect in believing they are capable. Many people think letting others struggle means abandoning them. But these are not the same thing. Abandonment says you are on your own. Wise love says, I am here, but I cannot walk this path for you. Abandonment withdraws care. Wise love offers presence without control. Abandonment turns away. Wise love remains available without taking over. You can sit beside someone during their darkest night without carrying their pain as your own. You can listen without fixing. You can encourage without controlling. You can support without rescuing. You can love without losing yourself. Sometimes the most healing words are not advice. Sometimes they are simply, I know this is difficult. I believe in you. You are stronger than you think. I trust you to find your way. I am here if you need me. These words honor another person's strength. They remind them that they are not helpless. They remind them that they have the ability to rise. Because the truth is, many of the people you love are more capable than you realize. And perhaps, by constantly rescuing them, you have unknowingly been telling them that you do not trust their ability to face life. This lesson is especially difficult for those who have built their identity around being needed. If people no longer need your rescuing, who are you? If you stop fixing everyone, what happens to your sense of purpose? These questions can feel frightening, but maybe your purpose was never to save people. Maybe your purpose is simply to love them, to witness their journey, to offer compassion, to be a safe presence, and then to step back when necessary. The Buddha understood that every person must eventually become responsible for their own awakening. No one can meditate for another person. No one can let go of attachment on another person's behalf. No one can choose awareness for someone else. Each soul must take its own steps. Each heart must learn its own lessons. Each person must discover their own truth. You can point toward the path, but they must choose to walk it. And perhaps this truth breaks your heart, because you have spent so much of your life believing that love means saving. But what if love is something even deeper? What if love is trusting? Trusting that the people you care about can survive disappointment. Trusting that they can grow through hardship. Trusting that they can learn from mistakes. Trusting that life itself has wisdom beyond your control. Trusting that their journey belongs to them. Perhaps the greatest act of love is not removing every stone from another person's path. Perhaps it is standing nearby with an open heart while they discover that they have the strength to climb the mountain themselves. Because people do not become resilient by being rescued from every difficulty. They become resilient by discovering that they can endure what they once believed would break them. And maybe this lesson is not only about them. Maybe it is about you too. Maybe you are being invited to release the exhausting responsibility of carrying everyone's lives on your shoulders. To stop confusing love with control. To stop measuring your worth by how many people you save. To trust, to breathe, to loosen your grip, and to remember this beautiful truth. Love does not always say, "Let me carry this for you." Sometimes love gently whispers, "I believe in your strength. I trust your journey. And even though I cannot walk this path for you, I will always meet you with compassion as you learn to walk it yourself." The day you stop abandoning yourself, everything begins to change. Perhaps this final lesson is the one your heart has been waiting for all along. Because beneath the exhaustion, beneath the guilt, beneath the endless need to keep everyone happy, there is a quieter pain that many people carry but rarely speak about. It is the pain of abandoning yourself, not all at once, not in one dramatic moment, but slowly, silently, over the years. You abandon yourself every time you ignore what your heart is trying to tell you. You abandon yourself every time you silence your truth to avoid disappointing someone. You abandon yourself every time you say yes, when every part of you is begging to say no. You abandon yourself every time you convince yourself that your needs can wait, while everyone else's needs come first. At first, it seems harmless. You tell yourself, "It's not a big deal. They need me more. I can handle it. I'll take care of myself later." But later becomes tomorrow. Tomorrow becomes next month. Next month becomes next year. And one day, you wake up and realize something heartbreaking. You have spent so much time taking care of everyone else that you no longer know how to take care of yourself. You know everyone else's favorite foods, but you have forgotten what brings you joy. You know everyone's emotional triggers, but you no longer understand your own feelings. You know how to comfort everyone around you, but you do not know how to comfort yourself. You have become a stranger to your own soul, and perhaps the saddest part is this. Many people do not even realize it has happened. They simply believe this is what love is supposed to look like. They believe love means sacrifice without limits. Love means exhaustion. Love means constantly proving your worth through service. Love means being everything to everyone. But Buddhist wisdom invites us to look deeper, because suffering often begins the moment we lose ourselves in attachment. Attachment to approval, attachment to being needed, attachment to being seen as good, attachment to the identity of being the one who saves everyone. And while these attachments may look noble from the outside, they slowly pull us away from our true nature. The Buddha taught that awareness is the beginning of freedom. And perhaps awareness begins with a simple but uncomfortable question. When was the last time you truly listened to yourself? Not the version of you that performs for others, not the version of you that smiles through exhaustion, not the version of you that says, "I'm fine," when you are quietly falling apart, but the real you, the part of you that has been whispering for years, the part of you that says, "I'm tired, I need rest, I miss myself, I want to live differently." That voice has never disappeared. It has simply been buried beneath responsibility, beneath guilt, beneath fear, beneath the habit of putting everyone else first. Maybe you have spent years waiting for someone to finally choose you, waiting for someone to notice your sacrifices, waiting for someone to appreciate all that you have given, waiting for someone to rescue you the way you have rescued everyone else. But what if the person you have been waiting for is you? What if healing begins the moment you stop abandoning yourself? Imagine what your life would look like if you finally returned home to yourself. Imagine waking up without immediately scanning the emotional temperature of everyone around you. Imagine making decisions based on truth instead of guilt. Imagine saying no without rehearsing apologies in your head. Imagine resting without feeling like you have to earn it. Imagine laughing freely without worrying about who might judge you. Imagine asking yourself, "What do I need today?" and actually listening to the answer. For some people, these things sound simple. For those who have spent their lives caring for everyone else, they can feel revolutionary. Because choosing yourself after years of self-abandonment is not selfish. It is unfamiliar. It feels uncomfortable because you were taught that your worth comes from what you do for others. But your worth was never something you had to earn. You were worthy before you became useful. You were worthy before you became the responsible one. You were worthy before you became everyone's emotional caretaker. You were worthy before you learned how to hide your own pain. You do not have to prove your right to exist through exhaustion. You do not have to suffer to deserve love. You do not have to become smaller so other people can remain comfortable. You are allowed to take up space. You are allowed to have limits. You are allowed to have dreams that belong only to you. You are allowed to change. You are allowed to outgrow the version of yourself that survived by pleasing everyone. You are allowed to disappoint people if it means finally being honest with yourself. There will be people who do not understand this version of you. People who preferred the old version. The version that never had boundaries. The version that always gave more. The version that never asked for anything in return. Some may call you different. Some may say you have changed. And perhaps they are right. Because healing changes people. Awareness changes people. Self-respect changes people. The person who once abandoned themselves to earn love slowly learns another way to live. A quieter way, a wiser way, a freer way. The Buddha often spoke of returning to awareness, returning to the present moment, returning to what is true. And maybe this is your return, not to who the world told you to be, but to who you were before guilt became your identity, before fear became your motivation, before carrying everyone else's happiness became your purpose. There is a version of you beneath all of that, a version untouched by endless obligation, a version that knows peace, a version that does not confuse suffering with love, a version that understands that compassion includes the self. That version of you has been waiting patiently, not with anger, not with resentment, but with open arms, waiting for you to come back. So perhaps today is not the day you become someone new. Perhaps today is the day you remember who you have always been. The day you stop apologizing for existing. The day you stop measuring your worth by how much you sacrifice. The day you stop carrying responsibilities that do not belong to you. The day you stop asking, "What do I need to do to be enough?" and begin to understand that you have always been enough. You are not here to manage everyone's emotions. You are not here to save every person who enters your life. You are not here to earn love through self-neglect. You are here to live, to grow, to awaken, to love without losing yourself, to care without carrying what was never yours, to walk through this life with wisdom, compassion, and inner peace. And maybe that is the most beautiful realization of all, that the journey was never about becoming someone worthy of love. It was about remembering that beneath all the fear, guilt, and self-abandonment, you were worthy from the very beginning. So take a deep breath, place your hand gently over your heart, and listen carefully. You have carried enough. You have proven enough. You have sacrificed enough. The world does not need another version of you that is exhausted from trying to save everyone else. The world needs the version of you that is awake, whole, present, peaceful, authentic, and finally free. Because the day you stop abandoning yourself is not the day you stop loving others. It is the day you learn how to love without disappearing. It is the day you return home to your own heart. And from that place of wholeness, everything begins to change. Before you leave, I want you to pause for just a moment. Think about how many years you have spent carrying emotions that were never yours. How many nights you stayed awake worrying about people you could not save. How many times you apologized for having needs. How many times you abandoned your own peace just to make sure everyone else was okay. Maybe no one ever taught you that your happiness mattered too. Maybe you learned that love meant sacrifice, that being needed meant being worthy, that if everyone around you was happy, then you had finally done enough. But look at where that belief has led you: an exhausted heart, a restless mind, a soul that has spent so long taking care of everyone else that it forgot how to care for itself. The Buddha taught that suffering often begins when we cling to what we cannot control, and perhaps the greatest burden you have been carrying is the belief that you are responsible for everyone's happiness. But you were never meant to carry that weight. You were never meant to save every person who enters your life. You were never meant to earn love through exhaustion. You were never meant to disappear so that others could shine. You were meant to live, to breathe, to laugh without guilt, to rest without apology, to love without losing yourself, to care without carrying what was never yours. And maybe today, after hearing these words, you don't need to change your entire life overnight. Maybe all you need to do is take the first small step back toward yourself. Say no when your heart means no. Rest when your body asks for rest. Speak kindly to yourself. Choose peace over guilt. And remember that compassion includes you too. There is a version of you beneath all the people pleasing, beneath all the fear, beneath all the endless responsibility. A version of you that is calm, a version of you that is whole, a version of you that no longer believes they must suffer to deserve love. That person is still there, waiting patiently for you to come home. So if no one has told you this recently, let these words stay with you tonight. You have done enough. You have carried enough. You have sacrificed enough. You do not have to earn your worth. You do not have to prove your goodness. You do not have to save everyone to deserve peace. You are already enough, exactly as you are. And perhaps the most compassionate thing you can do from this day forward is not abandoning yourself for the comfort of others. Because the moment you stop making other people's happiness your responsibility, you finally give yourself permission to experience your own. And that may be the beginning of the freedom you have been searching for your entire life. If this message touched something deep inside your heart, let me know in the comments by writing, "I choose my peace," not as a promise to become perfect, but as a gentle reminder that your well-being matters too. And if these teachings helped you see yourself with a little more compassion today, subscribe to Golden Lotus Wisdom and join this journey of inner healing, mindfulness, and awakening. There are so many people carrying silent burdens, believing they have to do it all alone. Perhaps by sharing this message, you can help someone put down a weight they were never meant to carry. Until we meet again, take care of your heart. Be gentle with your mind. Walk slowly, breathe deeply, and remember, you can love others with all your heart, without losing yourself in the process. May you be peaceful. May you be free from unnecessary suffering. And may you finally remember that your happiness matters too.